Fresh Bake, we're back with some more updates from around the park, and today we're going to start at this interesting little nugget. We've been watching this, the Astro Oiler getting dismantled piece by piece, day by day, and this is our current condition. Basically, it's gone. This is kind of a fascinating update because, as far as we know, it's just a refurb, nothing exceptional, except that they took the whole thing apart, and it's got some people wondering if they have plans bigger than just paint and touch-ups or whatever. So it is kind of a curious thing that we're going to have to pay attention to. Word from Disney, nothing is, it's coming back, and nothing outrageous is happening. But what we can say is that it certainly has reminded us of what this view used to look like. We shot this on Saturday leaving Frontierland, or as you leave Frontierland, and it's been a long time since we've had such a clean view of the entrance to Tomorrowland from this perspective. It used to be super wide open. Not anymore today, but I don't know, a lot of folks are in the same camp, I think, that we kind of rather like the way this looks, and not in a real big hurry to see them put, move over dude, to see them put the Astro Orbiter back. What about you guys? What do you think? Do you think that's a view you'd like to have? And if so, what do you do with the Astro Orbiter? Not that they're ever actually going to do it, but just idle speculation. We'll go back to Main Street where we talked about these construction walls that went up 2 weeks ago, and we weren't sure what they were doing then, other than to suggest that it wasn't anything major, probably just pavement or something like that. And what we're finding out is that this is part of the sort of grand plan, the Project Stardust. And what Project Stardust is, if you haven't heard, is just sort of a culmination of all the little odds and ends, all the little things that they've been doing to tweak the park over the last year in preparation for Galaxy's Edge. And it's kind of interesting. It's an aggregate. All these little things are going to add up to a more roomier park. And we're going to look at some of that stuff here in just a minute. But, you include things like taking out the planter by Dumbo in front of Pinocchio, or taking out the planters in Tomorrowland in front of Buzz Lightyear. And what they, there's some things that they haven't done. They felt like it wasn't necessary, like they were almost going to take out the seating area in front of Casey Jr., which I think would have been a travesty. And I think they correctly judged that it either wasn't necessary or would have been too impactful for the overall appeal of the land. And that's a balance that they're trying to keep, is that it's not all about ergonomics and how people fit into the park, but it's also, there are aesthetic decisions that have to come into this. And I'm glad that Disney is taking this much thought and consternation into whether or not they're not just doing this stuff idly. And it's kind of fascinating because there's software out there that can predict traffic patterns, that can predict guest pathways and how guests will react to a path that narrows here or widens there. If they were to, let's say, take out the planters, what would that do to the pattern, to the traffic flow, to the guest flow in that part of Tomorrowland? And it's kind of neat to think that such a small little thing can add up to a more pleasurable experience when weighed against whatever aesthetic, reasons they might have had to not take it out. Those planters, they weren't gorgeous. They weren't the most eye-appealing thing, but any kind of plant to me is better than none. But in this case, and actually, I think I've agreed with almost everything that they've done so far in terms of, weighing the value of a planter versus the value of having an extra 3 feet of walking space. And that's what a lot of this is amounted to. The deal at the Haunted Mansion, where they took out that planter alongside the perimeter of Haunted Mansion, that was for 2 or 3 feet, a shoulder's width of space, but it makes all the difference. I'm betting, and they probably proved it out with the modeling software that they use, and I'm sure they use. I know it exists. And I'm looking forward to seeing the net effects of all these changes in the park going forward. Now, getting back to this curb right here, what they're doing here is nothing more than just creating a slight grade for the actual curb so that it's a little bit more, when you approach, because this is the beginning of your approach to the curb on Main Street, it's just a regular curb like you would find on any street. But they're giving it, they're shallowing it so that you can, take a stroller or whatever up that curb if need be, and it makes it for a little bit of a, I guess, an easier walk for guests as they come in. Minor thing, but again, it adds up in the long term. And more of Project Stardust is not just for improving guest access, but beauty too. Sleeping Beauty Castle is getting that makeover. It looks really strange seeing that enormous scrim in front of the castle. It is really, really strange for me. I don't enjoy that at all, and we're going to see this for 3 months. Not that I don't think, I mean, I wish they didn't have to, but they have to. I agree. I understand. They have to do it. I just wish they didn't. Here's how things look from the back side of the castle from Fantasyland. We're standing right in front of Peter Pan right here. And they've got just these enormous purple walls up here. It's an intimidating sight for people looking for some Disney magic. Up close, right next to Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. Here's those walls again. The shops are still open. There's a shop in there behind that purple wall and that scrim. There's a door back there. You can barely see it. There's a shop in there. You can go buy some Christmas ornaments. Enjoy. And there's Peter Pan. Go over to Frontierland. The Mark Twain Columbia docks are under refurb. This one I don't know what they're doing, other than probably just beautification. Here's a look from up top. But I don't know exactly what they're doing, but this is part of that. Let's get back to DCA so we can do an update from the Pixar Pal Around and Marvel Land. It's, again, like last week, we're still in the dirt moving phase. Most of the demo looks to be complete. So we're going to see just mostly dirt here in a similar state to what we found last week, which is this. And yeah, dirt and rubble. Not a lot to see there. And now here's something interesting. When we look at the remaining structure that they've left behind from Bugs Land, the tissue box, the restroom, everything else around it has been removed. And I thought, boy, this looks a lot more bare. Or I don't know, a lot, but it looks more bare around it. It looks more visible. It's more plain, the tissue box is, than it was last week. Here's last week. And it does look like there's a little bit more stuff sort of obfuscating our view of the tissue box. But when you compare it to this week, it's not a lot of change. I think there's trees right here on the right side of the structure as we face it. Look like those maybe have been removed, which is cleaning up the eye line a little bit. If we go back again. But as I was doing this, one thing I noticed, and this will go towards, some folks have asked, what do they do with those trees? And I don't know if this is an answer or not, but if you look at last week, there was no trees against the structure there that is, what am I looking at? What building is that? What building is that? I want to say that's the back side of one of the buildings on Hollywood Boulevard, one of the stage buildings. But you'll see there's no trees there, right? There's a fence and the stairs and the back side of that building. But if we look today, there's 3 trees. So they've installed these random trees along the perimeter of the Bugs Land, of Marvel Land. And so I have to assume those aren't there because they're pretty and they want to make that area look nicer with some trees. Those are there to either, as standbys. They're preserving those trees, or they're getting them ready for something. So I don't know where those trees were before or where they're going, but that is happening. So again, I'm not sure how much that answers that question. What do they do with all those trees? Do they chop them up or do they reuse them? That could be a solution. That could be an answer, that they are recycling those in some way. Maybe they were salvageable. Maybe they will take again if you reroot them. I don't know. I don't know how trees work. If you can do that, if you can take a tree out and reroot it, is that a thing? I don't know. I'm good at math. I don't know anything about trees. So there you go. we'll continue. And this view is not going to change much, I don't think. This is still just rubble and dirt, rebar, and destruction. And I think we're going to take... Oh yeah, here we go. I'm looking... I did find that last one. I'm like, are those trees? Anyway, we'll go back to the other side of the gondola to look at what's going on with the emotional whirlwind. And you can see there that they have poured the concrete for those planters. I think we're going to get a better view of that here in a minute, but that's what we're looking at there. Here's a bit of a closer view of what's happening in the center, and you can see that they've built some forms and are getting ready to. That's where the base of the emotional whirlwind attraction will wind up eventually. You can see how it'll look in the future when you look at the old Flix Flyers. So that deal going through the sour cream container is the same thing that's going to go through right there. You're going to put that sucker right there. Now, take a look at this and compare that to last week. They're definitely making some progress on creating more, foundation for this attraction. That's last week, and if we come back to this week, you can see all kinds of forms are going up where they're getting ready to pour concrete in a very haphazard. I think actually, no, I'm not sure about that because there's only one board set up. Usually, when it's forms, there's an inner and an outer. So I'm not sure what that. Oh, that's probably still foundation. That's still under the ground, isn't it? Correct me if I'm wrong, constructionizers. But is what we're looking at here all going to be underground? It's got to be, right? Anyway, but these kind of, irregular pattern of wood going up here, getting ready to do something or other. I don't know. But it's going to be actually kind of interesting. This is going to be the first real chance we've had to observe them build a ride from this perspective. Normally we're on the ground, and our perspective is not very good. There's the concrete that I was talking about earlier. They poured since last week for those. Those are probably going to be planters. But yeah, we're going to get to see them. We're going to get to see what it looks like to build, even if it's just a basic, ride like Flix Flyers. Meanwhile, on the other side of the gondola, again, there's Jessies Carousel. Look how bright that is. Wow, they have really colored the heck out of that thing. Red and blue everywhere. You can see the cow pattern that they've installed around the perimeter of the ride. We'll get a closer look here, and look at that. There's some. They put on some new. I don't know what you call that, like a mural on that wall. But here's the cow pattern again that we've seen them install. Interesting. That's a Jessie thing. Here's another look. There's a little. It's like Midway Mania in the sense, which makes sense because that does sort of. It is synchronous with the theming of that. What do they call them? Neighborhoods, the Toy Story neighborhood, and the play area that were found in Toy Story Midway Mania. This is actually a really kind of a pleasant compliment to Midway Mania now with the way they're setting up this exterior of the carousel. Before there was nothing. It was just I think it was just a blank wall. I don't know if I don't have any video of this particular perspective, so I'm not sure how to compare it, but I have to believe it was just blank wall because nothing, I don't remember that ever being very striking from that view, but it does help you sort of get into that feeling again of being a little kid, or being a toy, I should say, in a kid's play area, because the way that's painted, it looks like he's sort of made his own little play area, much like we are in for Midway Mania. And I'm actually enjoying this. It doesn't look, the context looks a little shaky right now. I think we're not getting the full picture, but I like the direction that they're going in this so far. And I think it would be great if they could put some kind of lid on this thing. And I don't know if that's the plan for, the top of the carousel, if they're going to put any kind of awning or fabric or whatever but I think a lid on this would be even better to sort of close in the environment and to get the rest of the land of of DCA out of our imagination so we can more better feel that we are in a child's play area. So I think a lid on this would be exceptional. One more stop here on the pier, and that's to see that this paving has been going on. The blue areas are the areas that they have taken apart, and that's the red area is the new paving. I'm not sure what prompted this. Certainly not for Star Wars Land, so I'm not sure what they're doing here. But I guess they felt like they needed to make that better. So go for it. And then last week we showed you that they had drained, well, it's been a couple weeks now that they drained the wharf, and it's still drained, but it looks like it's not totally idle. They are doing something over here on the edge, some kind of bit. And finally we're going to end here with Lampy. Lampy still doesn't move. Now, I will say this, he has moved. There is a shot last week of Lampy facing almost to us. It's like a profile of Lampy, and today Lampy is now facing away from us back towards leaving the pier. And I had to point this out because that, I know, is the kind of hard-hitting journalism that you guys are expecting from these construction reports. You need to know whether or not Lampy is moving and which direction he's facing. So go ahead and tell your friends. Come down to Disneyland construction videos, watch Fresh Bake, talk about which direction Lampy is facing, and we'll give you all you need to know and then some. And that's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow with the Galaxy's Edge update, which is coming to a close soon, I think. But yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next time. Fresh Bake. We've got lots more videos for you to see, so grab a churro and check out some of our other videos and have your mind blown by how much fun we're having. We truly are the best of Disney Bake Fresh Daily. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We'll see you next time. Fresh Baked!